welcome back everybody to another special video collaboration with Dom of X. How are you doing, Dom, today, dude?
I am doing well. I hope you're also doing well.
I'm doing well. Listen, I was gonna think of a fun nickname for Dom at the beginning. I was looking around my room. I called him Absolute Dom of X last time. I guess I can call you Dom of X World's Finest. How about that? That's pretty.
Okay,
that's pretty cool. There you go.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it works.
Dom of X World's Finest. Here we go. And the video that we're doing today, we're talking about our most anticipated 5 collected editions that are coming out in the month of June. Being a comic book collector is pretty tough, guys. You got to be aware of what's coming out over the horizon so you don't miss out. It's out of print now. You're paying $300 for an Omni like some chump. You don't want to be in that position. So we use this site. Dom helps run it, comicreleases.com. And we filtered it by everything coming out in the month of June. Dom's got 5 picks from this list, and I do as well. Make sure to check out comicreleases.com for all of your upcoming comic book release needs. And the way that we're going to do this, I like to throw it to Dom to start off the list. And check it out, guys. Just as an example, right? So this is not Dom's first pick, but check it out. We've got the thumbnail. We've got the front cover of the collected edition right on the site. So there you go. But of course, you also have links out to the Luna solicits and also places where you can pre-order in-stock trades, street graphic novels, Amazon, panel-bound comics if you really, really want to. But let's get into Dom's list. Why don't you start me off with your first pick there?
Kick it off with supporting a book that I wish had gone out very earlier. Unfortunately, this wasn't a volume 2, as I wanted to sneak in another run that also just happened to be 10 issues. And that is indeed the Captain Marvel highest, furthest, fastest omnibus. Although it's funny that this is the name for the Omni, because this is Kelly Thompson Omnibus Volume 2. One of my favorite runs ever. And here's the thing, man. Highest, furthest, fastest. This is we can partly call off record, but that's the run that I would call Kelly Sudikonic's Captain Marvel run. But listen, this is a wonderful send-off to, you have 50 issues long. That's a very long time to spend on Captain Marvel. And one of my favorite runs from the Fresh Start era of Marvel. They also managed to throw in the X-Men Brood crossover along with this, so you get a full scope of what else was going on. And the thing without making it creator-centric to the detriment, because again, I still really do wish that this was called by Kelly Thompson Omnibus Volume 2, but I understand lines change, sales, whatever that might look like. You're looking at the editions of the Alyssa Wong run on Captain Marvel, the 2023 run, and a couple of other miniseries that were also thrown in here too. So it's going to be a nice addition to the shelf. Just wish that it was called, again, creator-centric Omni 2. But, you know, that's just the way life goes.
Which cover would you be picking up for this one? I see the DM cover looks like this. Mm-hmm. So you're feeling the DM cover, you're feeling the other cover on that?
I think the main cover by Carmen Carnero is going to be... I love Carmen Carnero. I've loved her work since James Tynan's Rebirth Detective Comics run. Her stuff just happens to be quite marvelous and very wispy, clean, cool, chill. I love her vibe. I definitely would go for that cover.
There you go. Real cool. Yeah, I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about Kelly Thompson's time on the Captain Marvel title. And I get what you're saying, because, like, looking at it, right, you got 27 to 50, and then you have that X-Men crossover, like you mentioned, the Brood stuff. And then, yeah, it seems like they kind of just tacked on an extra 15 issues split up into 2 different minis onto it. I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. Because where would you put those in an Omni, like, later on, I guess, right? Is always the thinking. But, but yeah, I get that you'd want it to be that volume 2 to match the volume 1, nice 1-2 set, completing Kelly Thompson's time on the character. But yeah, there you go. For Captain Marvel fans, that's coming soon. That's coming out on June 16th. So look out. Or I guess it's not coming out June 16th, right? When do the... No, wait, it is.
It is coming out on
Okay.
June 16th, yeah.
That's right. It's the solicits that'll say... It's like the July solicit, but it's not coming out for months and months after or whatever it is. But this is all stuff coming out. Gotcha. First pick for me, we mentioned it in the other collab that we did. I want to get more into the Swamp Thing side of things, but this is something that I had a chance to read as it was coming out. We're talking Swamp Thing by Ron V and Mike Perkins. Now, this Future State stuff, that's where I started reading comics, the Future State era of DC. Not the best era by any means. Most of the series from that are disposable.
But it means a lot to you because that's what got you here in the first place.
Exactly.
That's the main thing.
Because the Swamp Thing Future State stuff was the best of that era, and I loved it. Learning more. I think it was my first Ron V series, my first time seeing Mike Perkins' artwork, right? And it just like blew my mind. And then to see them continue on with this well-regarded Swamp Thing run in their own right. Levi's a character. It's kind of weird because that's my first Swamp Thing, right? So it is kind of weird in that way. But yeah, just the green. Love learning about the Swamp Thing mythology. The fact that this is such a small Omni is a little weird, right? Could this have been a deluxe edition? It
was originally a deluxe edition,
right? Like almost certainly it could have been a deluxe edition.
No,
right?
It was a deluxe edition before this became an omnibus. It was right. So
just based on the page counts and stuff like that, like this could easily be deluxe edition. But yeah, I think that as someone who collects a lot of Ron V stuff, seeing his stuff in the Omni, like with the Omni at the end, it is cool seeing him more and more Omnis with Ron V coming out. The Detective Comics stuff as well. But yeah, I think that this is a must-have for any Ron V collector, Swamp Thing collectors as well. This is really great Swamp Thing content. Yeah, so there we go. $100, a little pricey for this page count, I guess, but there you go. Swamp Thing by Ron V.
My main hope for this is that we get because typically with some of these more expensive omnibuses, DC likes adding some flavors on the dust jackets or their actual books, whether it's leatherbound, there's like a different material than say, one of these regular cardboard titles. With dust jacket, maybe there's like a little hologram on it, maybe it's acetate, maybe there's something there that, this is really cool. So this might not even be the like this is just bumping out the page count because they want to. I'm not saying or confirming anything, but typically with these more expensive books, they do like to add at least some flavors so you are enticed to say, okay, I'm paying $25 more for something aesthetically pleasing. So
gotcha. Okay, there you go. Let's go to your next pick, Dom. What are you looking to pick up?
Next pick. And unfortunately, I won't be getting this ASAP because I'm going to be going to Japan the week it comes out. Batman Superman, World's Finest Deluxe Edition, Volume 1 by Mark Waid and Dan Mora. I could not believe. I remember going into the comic book store and seeing the first issue on the shelves. And I remember asking about it. I was like, wait, what is this? I'm like... Is this like a new thing or whatever? I was busy with college something, so that's why I guess I was like off, if you will, for a couple of months of time. But said, hey, Mark Waid's back at DC, and I went, what? Mark Waid is back at DC? Keep in mind, Mark Waid hadn't been over at DC since like 2009, 2010. I think the last book that he wrote for DC is 2010. He went over to Marvel full time to do books like Daredevil and Avengers and Champions and Black Widow and his third stint on Captain America. So the guy was just busy. Like Doctor Strange, the guy was just busy with so many different properties. Mark Waid also, I think, one of the only guys in the industry who actually can legitimately say he can write excellent books on both of the big two sides. Like he has such wealth and knowledge of both universes that he is actually able to say, okay, you know what, if I want to write Captain America route, or just like an overall Marvel book, he can do it. So believe me, shocked when I said to myself, wow, Wade is back, and it feels very weird, but he has been over at DC now for the last 5 years, tearing it up with every single book, on top of being a consultant and just an overall amazing person and helping other people out. Not to, I guess, pat myself on the back, but I managed to interview a whole bunch of different comic book creators when the DC All In initiative started. And every single person that I interviewed had something to say about Mark Waid.
There you go.
Sort of return to the company. I feel like because of this book, because of just like how much fun he clearly has with the era of comics that he grew up in, just sort of in his vision, incorporating brand new characters like the Devil Neza and whatnot, it's clear that Mark has such an affinity for these comics. And the best part, he's been in the comics industry now for 40 years, right? And I can tell you, man, like, this guy's writing has not aged. You think of guys like Roy Tom, or like different other creators like who are like Chris Claremont. I'm not saying like their work is invalidated or anything of the sort, but I read a Mark Waid comic and I'm not going, oh, this feels like it should have been published 20 or 30 years ago. I've never read a Waid comic like that. To his credit, I think that's why this book will stand the test of time. So excited to have it. I probably gushed about it for too long, but good golly, we need this ASAP. I'm pretty mad that it's coming out the week that I'm going to be gone, but I'm so excited for this deluxe edition. I've been picking up this in singles for the longest time, and I'm finally happy to have it on my shelf in oversized for the first time too.
Dom, I don't mind you gushing about this one because it's my next pick as well. And I thought you were so eloquent with how you explained it, like the context and the history of Mark Waid coming back. Guys, this was the biggest deal when this came out in single issues. Like, this was so much fucking fun. I can't explain how much fun you'll have reading this with the Dan Mora artwork. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, man. And seeing the kind of, when this was coming out, I really wanted them to take this vibe and kind of feeling, bottle it up, and do like a whole other. And this was prior to Absolute Universe, obviously, right? I wanted Mark Waid to kind of lead up like the world's finest universe, because to me, this series feels so unique compared to its contemporary series that's coming out at the same time. It felt like that kind of classic sort of Silver Age, kind of fun, just bringing it straight to you, and that excellent Dan Mora artwork. It's beautiful stuff. I dropped off this series at some point, right? Probably with the We Are Yesterday, kind of crossover. You kind of lost me, Mark Waid. I think at that point, Dan Mora had dropped off the title. But this material here, it's collected in Deluxe Edition Volume Number 1. It is so good. I can't describe to you how much fun you're gonna have reading this. I believe this has the Batman Superman fusion stuff, right? And you said it so well. Mark Waid loves comic books, like down to his DNA, like in his bones, in his blood. He loves comic books, and you can get that from reading this series. Like, it's Mark Waid beaming excellent comic books straight to your brain, man, and it's just so much fun. So cool seeing them give it the love that it deserves in this deluxe edition format. Hopefully it ends up being in that Omni one day, right? I'm sure it will be at some point, but for now we'll take a deluxe edition, because this is just excellent stuff. It's so much fun. I guess I'm looking at what it includes, the first 10. Detective Comics 1050, that doesn't ring a bell. I guess I would say that
story in there, yeah.
Okay, I guess I would say that it would have been cool to include a couple more issues or something, but I think that this probably has the first 2 arcs, and I think that's great stuff. So there you go. We're expecting a volume 2 to follow, and then they'll just continue it from there if these sell well, I'm sure. But Batman Superman World's Finest, some Mark Waid goodness. That's definitely on my list for collected edition in the month of June for sure. Let's throw it to Dom for his number 3 pick.
Yes, indeed. My number 3 pick is I had to put a DC Finest in because I typically put a DC Finest in as the #1 supporter of the line, and one where, also hint hint, if you are watching this now, we are working on a DC Finest poll, and you guys are going to be able to tell DC what books you might want. So just a clear heads up on that. But I want to point out to one specifically, because for the first time, they're also adjusting this in a brand new reading order, is Kirby's Fourth World. The first Fourth World, When the Old Gods Die, and I think the perfect jumping on point to understanding the mythos for Darkseid and Orion and Granny Goodness and Big Barda and New Genesis and Apocalypse and so many other characters and worlds that you have all probably been familiarized with by now. Maybe through a movie, or maybe if you're just like me, through the first arc of Jeff Johns' Justice League in New 52 2011. So this specifically, for the first time, they will have a completely different reading order and format. And what I mean by that is, we had the omnibuses before. We also had absolutes that stuck to regular. You start off with New Gods issue #1. The understanding that I have for this particular book, actually, if I can even find the reading order somewhere, it's in the cabases. It's somewhere, and it's a new reading order that is going to be specifically for the DC Finest format only. You're not going to be getting it in the omnibuses. You're only going to be getting this in the New Gods, as well. So you're kicking it off with New Gods issue #1, and then going to Forever People, Mr. Miracle, and New Gods 2, Forever People, Mr. Miracle 2, and then that's when you get to Darkseid's first appearance in Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. The point here is, again, it's a new reading order for this specific format, and I think the old formats you had, I definitely misspoke on this 3 minutes ago, but you started off with Darkseid's first appearance in Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, issue 133. Finest format is going to throw you directly right into the crossfire with the first issue of New Gods. They've also got a whole bunch of essays by Mark Evanier. You also have some Jimmy Olsen essays. They are packing this with as much content as you can, so you can get the full Kirby-an experience in Finest format. And that is why it's #3 on my list.
So Dom, love when I personally love when stuff lines up like this. Okay. It's also on my list, the exact same spot. I loved hearing you talk about it. So trying to get into Jack Kirby's Fourth World stuff. Same kind of thing with the Swamp Thing by Alan Moore that we were talking about earlier. Like, which format is the best way to read this Fourth World stuff? And I think you sold it to me when we talked about it previously, and you explained how the reading order is very new reader friendly, and like this is almost a better way than the omnis or the absolutes to get into the Fourth World content. Obviously, it being a finest, it's not that oversized artwork, but I think for me, that's okay. That's a nice trade-off, because I've not read this material yet, but I've always wanted to learn more about Big Barda, Mr. Miracle, Orion, like more deeper understanding on Darkseid. So like this is something that I want, and yeah, I just think that you explaining how the reading order is a lot friendlier, I guess, is very appealing to me. As I read more and more DC Finest, I'm just in love with this format, and very low cost way to get invested into some Fourth World stuff. Because to be honest with you, Dom, not having read this material before, I'm not sure if it's immediately going to stick with me, right? So
sure.
This is a great way to try out, flip through it at your comic shop when you run past the Finest, see if it kind of vibes with you, and then $40 for a nice big old chunk of Fourth World content. You mentioned all the different essays. I personally love, essays, intros, and stuff like that, because they really kind of put the run into context, the historical context, and then also just like, this is one of the most legendary comic books of all time, right? So that is a great addition to the Finest as well. Just like the historical nature of it, and kind of the, game changing that Jack Kirby was bringing to DC when this was coming out. So yeah, this is definitely on my list as well. Jack Kirby Fourth World. when the old gods die. In that DC Finest, I'm collecting more and more. I know why you're so in love with the format. It's just so cool. So
it is, and I actually want to also quickly add two things to this book in particular. The first of which is, if you're wondering like which run or which specific Darkseid isn't like the final boss, but rather that he is the living embodiment of all that is evil. This is where that theme and idea comes from. That is from Jack Kirby, the king himself. And the trade-off between, because it's Kirby, and we all pay our due respects to him. Like, every single comic creator will tell you that they owe something to Jack. Everybody. Like, it doesn't matter who that person is, doesn't matter if they've been working in the industry for tens and tens of years, or if it's somebody just got into comics. We all owe and dedicate something to Jack himself. So I understand that for some people there might be like a little bit of a worse draft where it's like the presentation you're getting, obviously this is a lot smaller than the Absolutes, which are beautifully designed, I think by Chip Kidd too. This specific book will not have you in the slogs of the Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen issues. They're sparse in between. So when you get into New Gods and Forever People, you are, I think, in a much better state of, oh man, I won't be burned out by this. I don't have to worry about a new reading order, or a reading order where you feel like, oh man, when is this going to end?
That's my biggest fear into getting into some of this era, or like from what I've heard about this material, right, is that it maybe can be slow at times. So yeah, I think that upgraded reading order, that's kind of what is the most appealing part to me, just based on the way you described it. So yeah.
Indeed.
Let's go to Dom's number 2 pick.
Yeah. My number 2 pick is something that you have already talked about earlier. And that is Ron V's Mike Perkins' Swamp Thing Omnibus. And I don't feel like... this is what I will add to Swampy. I remember talking with Mark Waid, again, interview 2 or 1.5 years ago. And he was also... Because I asked him, because this was sort of a prelude to Justice League Unlimited, what did you need to do to put Levi into this issue of Justice League that you're writing? And he told me that he thought he was still right, because again, like he's still trying to catch up on some things. He originally thought that he was going to be writing Alec Holland, but he didn't know that Alec Holland died not too long ago. So then he told me, I read Ron V's Swamp Thing run, because obviously Levi is a current Swamp Thing. He told me on that interview that he thinks Levi is actually a better character than Alec is. Now imagine Mark Waid, out of all people, Mark Waid telling you that Alec's a good character, but Levi is strong.
I think Levi, he's very compelling. Yeah.
Imagine Mark Waid telling you that Mark Waid who grew up and was also working over at DC when Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson Swamp Thing was coming out, when Alec was introduced, and then going through the Alan Moore years and the Rick Veitch and Tom Mandrake years. Imagine him telling you, like, yeah, those guys, they wrote a worse character than Ron V did. I think that's pretty cool.
Big ups to Ron V, man. He's a writer's writer. Like if you dip your toes into the way that he does like his prose stuff, and I don't know, it's just so like ethereal and kind of, he can get a little heady with it, right? Like I really love Ron V's writing style, and yeah, very character focused. I think that he can pull on the emotions for sure. Ron V's killer, man. It's great stuff. That's like the highest praise. Mark Waid just giving you big up. So yeah, That's cool.
Yeah, I also asked Ron V about it. It was also pretty cool to see him react to it too. So
nice.
Circle comes. Circle, whatever the phrasing is.
Full circle or whatever. There you go. Yeah. So that's a great great lineup from me and Dom. Both excited about Swamp Thing by Rom V coming out at the end of June on the 23rd. It looks like. It's my last. No. Second to last. We're going G.I. Joe. We're going G.I. Joe, guys. Wait, G.I? Hello? Yeah. G.I. Joe Deluxe Edition book number 1. Man. So, like, in terms of the Energon universe stuff, I really do think the G.I. Joe has consistently been my favorite part of it. Say what you will about the Transformers stuff, but at some point, Daniel Warren Johnson leaves the art duties, right? Jorge Corona comes in. It's cool. It's great. And you still have Daniel Warren Johnson on the writing. But from the start, this G.I. Joe stuff has been consistently banger after banger. We talked about it actually when we were talking about the Checkmate Greg Rucka stuff and how we like the kind of spy espionage flavors and that we don't get a lot of it in comics today. I'm getting it from this G.I. Joe series. That's why it really vibes with me. I think that Joshua Williamson, ask me 3 years ago, I wasn't a big Joshua Williamson fan, but he has really kind of turned it around. I think the way that he just has such a good grasp on the G.I. Joe side of things, he's killing it. And then you get the excellent Tom Riley artwork. It's so cool, man. I really do love it. Jordi Belair on the, coloring as well. And I want to say, so this has G.I. Joe's number 1 through 12. So this follows the, this is obviously the main G.I. Joe title. It's not any of the Duke, Cobra Commander, Destro, Scarlet, any of those miniseries. And yeah, this is just where they just cracked down and just started writing some great G.I. Joe stuff. I want to say issue 12, that'll be the... So it doesn't include the Dreadnought War stuff. I think that came... Yeah, so the Dreadnought War started with issue 13. So yeah, you're getting some just excellent G.I. Joe stuff there. You get some of the silent issues. Like the first 6 where you see that confrontation between Duke and Cobra Commander. You see the whole thing building. This is just some great stuff. And the more I'm collecting of the Energon Universe Deluxe editions, this is obviously one that I need on my shelf at some point. The problem with these though, man, is the goddamn 2 covers. Okay, so I have to play this goddamn game in my head where I go, I'm looking right now for the first deluxe edition. I went with Cobra Commander, right? So this is good. This is cool. But like, do I want to go all villains, right? Do I want to go like Duke was already... Maybe I get this one because Duke's on it, and I think the opposite version of this, it was Duke or Cobra Commander. You had to make that choice. But maybe I can get a Duke one now with this book 1.
Right.
That's probably what I'll do. But man, I kind of hate it, dude. I kind of hate making me choose like this. Same thing over for Transformers because you had to choose between the Autobots and Decepticons. It's like, god damn it, dude. Collector problems, guys. For that. Collector problems. First world collector problems. But there we go. That's my number 2 pick. This G.I. Joe stuff is so good. If you guys haven't been reading it, I've been having a ton of fun with it. Let's throw it to Dom for the number 1 pick.
Number 1 on my to-do list for this month. Oh my
All these
goodness.
Choices. Lots to choose from.
This book just looks... It definitely looks out of the box and out of the planet because every single world is actually being crushed in this book and consolidated into one. This is the 2026 edition of Absolute Crisis on Infinite Earths. A book that I thought, hey, you know what? The craziest thing about this, man, this book is completely prismatic. Like they have gone like all in on the neon,
cool,
the lights, the glitter, the glamour, okay, like you are actually going to get a blockbuster feel when you open this book up. And
this doesn't do it justice, guys. This picture is cool, but yeah, once you see this collected edition, like Omar had it in a video recently, it's beautiful looking for sure.
I am absolutely jealous of the people who got to design this. I also know that there's like a small contingent who just wish that this looked regular, maybe for lack of a better word. Oh man, this book is going to be anything but regular. And getting to talk about the all the extras that they've managed to include on here, which I actually probably should include in the collect, because it's split into two books. You've got the main book, which is going to be, your Crisis 12 issues, and the first two issues, or the only two issues of the Marv Wolfman first attempt to do a history of the DC Universe before Mark Waid decided to redo that with the brand new history of the DC Universe. The second book, man, like that's all of your extras. That's the makings of how this actually came to be. It's Mark Waid essays and Roy Thomas essays and Marv Wolfman essays and different other creators throwing their wrench in to say what this book did. Like I always throw around like it's very important to keep in mind of the history when it comes to these books, but I legitimately do feel that we wouldn't be where we are as a comic book community, society, whatever you want to call it, without Marv Wolfman and George Perez teaming up on this. Like, we owe a lot to those two creators in 1985, 1986 for bringing this series to us. And also with George Perez, man, I mean, you look at that guy drew spread pages like it was no tomorrow, and it was all still fully functional. There were no breaks in this book as well, and I have no idea how he was, because honestly, like you look at somebody like Brian Bolland, where he stops doing interiors after The Killing Joke, right? He only does covers now. George Perez, even though he took a little bit of a break after the series just because of how time crunched he was, still was able to do Wonder Woman, still was able to draw portions of the New Titans when that series decided to, hey, we got to rename it because all of these characters are aged up now. They're all adults. This is a book that is going to be splendid in the making, and I cannot wait to see this next to my Final Crisis Absolute Edition on my bookshelf.
This is a great pick. I mean, you mentioned all like the historical context and why this is such an important story out of DC, starting that new era and everything that would follow. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. It's a cool release. I'm just not like an absolute collector. So I was thinking about putting this one on my list, thinking long and hard about it. I think because it is such a seminal story, it's something that I would want at some point, but it didn't make my list for this particular video. But I love your explanation on it, Dom, and obviously one of the most legendary DC stories. People have been wanting this reprinted for a long time. But I'm talking about one of my favorite James Tynion IV written series. It's the one that's got like the most meat to it. You get this excellent artwork from Martin Simmons. Of course, I'm talking about Department of Truth. They've got the second deluxe edition coming out. And if you guys haven't guessed already, I am in such love with the Image Comics Deluxe Edition format. I think it's perfect. That's like my favorite format, like the square bound edges and stuff. Like, I think it's so good. And Department of Truth, as someone who's really into kind of like the conspiracy sort of angles to it, like the alternate history, you pair that with the excellent artwork, and I think it's just the most unique James Tynion IV series. Like, it's he's doing like a lot of moving pieces in this one, and I've read this series when it came out in I'm looking at the first Conspiracy Deluxe Edition. That one came out like so long ago, and I've not been able to read the series after that. There was like the spin-off one that they did, like the I forgot what it's called, the little like the side stories in the series so far, but this is them coming back to the main series in this deluxe edition format, and I gotta get this on my shelf, mostly so I can continue reading the damn series because I thought it was so excellent. And yeah, I just have not read past like number 15 or whatever it is. And yeah, so that's how I'm ending my list. Don't know if it's on so many people's wish list, but I really do think it's my favorite. I think it's my favorite James Tynion IV written series.
I'll tell Steve Fox who said that, man. I will say that like my experience with this title, the person that I've mentioned I think a couple of times to, who worked at my comic shop, also did a podcast with, he and Steve Fox Steve Fox was the editor of the series. They were in the same sort of like graduating class from Top Cow. That same class actually had Teeny Howard and a couple of like Brian Cady, a couple of other comic creators who actually do stuff now. But Yeah, I was able to talk about this with Steve Fox when I interviewed him first. This was back in 2021. And I told him, we really need deluxe editions of this, Steve. And he said, they cost a lot of money, but I'll tell James and we'll work on it as soon as possible. And they really wanted to make sure that these looked as a government handbook, like as much as possible. So
I love that vibe, man. As someone who, like, if you're into, TV series like X-Files, right? If that like sparks an interest in you at all, I think there's a lot to love in Department of Truth. And yeah, I just think that it's so unique as a comic. Like there's almost nothing like it. So yeah, Department of Truth, there you go.
Indeed. And I have no other words to say on Department of Truth other than the fact that if you are you can even cut this part out. If you're somebody else, or that 9/11 was an inside job person, don't read this book. But
yeah, this book would freak you out actually if you were.
So again, just a message for the people I know who are brain rotted on Instagram. If you're of that category, I would say tread carefully. But this is definitely one to look out for if you are a big who done it guys. That sort of vibe.
The first two issues, maybe even the first issue, is just such a great introduction to this concept where our main character guy gets flown to the edge of the earth and he sees that it is in fact flat. Like that entire sequence is just like kind of scary, man. Like James Tynion IV's really cooking with this concept. Just this idea of, if 1 million people believe it to be true, it ends up being true in this world. So yeah, just kind of the dangers of conspiracies. Such a prescient read. I mean, now in 2026, I'm sure this series hits extra hard in terms of like untruths and mistruths and all that stuff and misinformation. And there you go. Department of Truth.
Indeed.
Some excellent indie comics there coming out of Image Comics. And then I think that'll do it, man. So your 5, my 5. Make sure to check out all the upcoming collected editions on comicreleases.com. And with that being said, Dom, where can people find you? You got any other special projects in the works?
I do. I mentioned a video earlier that details the methodology of how I decided to do my top Omnibus picks. Long video probably by the time that this comes out, but I've also worked on that project. It's probably out by now. If not, I'm working on it. I've got an upcoming show with a good old buddy Curtis where we will be talking about the May DC Finest trades that came out. So what did they come out? The Western book, the Joker book, and the Death in the Family Batman DC Finest collected editions. And of course, every single month I do stuff with Cody where we talk about solicits, because solicits are fun and I like talking about upcoming solicits. So you can check all those out at Dom of X. And if not, you want to see the entire running list, the most up-to-date spreadsheet in all of the comics community, check out comicreleases.com.
It's the best, one of the best resources we have is comic book collectors for sure. Shout out to Dom and the good people over at Comic Releases for putting it all together. Thank you guys for watching. This is another top 5 most anticipated graphic novels for the month of June. Like Dom saying, we collab all the time, so you guys know we're bringing it to you next month as well. Thank you guys for watching, and read more comics.